Hey guys, and welcome to another FastAPI session. In today's video, I want to discuss query parameters, or query params as people tend to call them. So let's go through a quick agenda. I'll first cover what they are, what they look like, what they do, and then we'll go through how to declare them, how to make them optional, how to do some fancy type conversions, and then we'll look at how to do path and query param combinations. So first of all, what's a query parameter? It's this here. So imagine you're curling this endpoint. Okay, so we're going to this address on my local host, port 8000. Maybe I've got a items endpoint ready to be visible. What I can then do is then do a little question mark and then do some stuff here. So because I've got skip equals 0, ampersand, limit equals 10, I'm basically passing this as information to the endpoint I'm calling. You see this quite a lot if you're doing some just normal web browsing. Take a look at the URL you're using or calling, whatever. Chances are you'll see some stuff with this sort of structure at the end of the URL, and these are just parameters that are being passed to whatever API or whatever website you're using. These can then be used, parsed, dealt with. Yeah, there's a whole lot of things query parameters are used for. So if I go to my bash terminal, just a quick one, I've got two open. I've got one terminal open for the application, and I've got one open to do my curls with. So my app is running on localhost, 50/50, and I've got my hello world endpoint here. It's not doing anything super exciting. So if I hit run, I see, there it is, hello world. I can see in the app that I have indeed gone ahead and got a 200, which is all good to go. So a query parameter would basically look something like this. Suppose I did a little question mark, and then maybe did name equals John. The app runs fine. I still see hello world. Let's go to my application for a second. You can see in the actual request, it's recognized that I've done this here, but currently there's nothing set up to receive what I've just done. So what I could do is do name, str like this. Let's go ahead and do print. Actually, what we'll do a little f string. So we'll do name, open these brackets up, and we'll go ahead and put name in here like that. Okay, that should be good. Now let's go back to this. Let's do name is equals John. Okay, we see the return. And if I go back to my app terminal, there we are, name John. Let's go ahead and title case this fella, shall we? So I should go ahead and see the same thing now. Yeah, hello world. There we go. You know what? Well, let's put this guy in here as well. I'll do name.title. I'm not too fussed about what this is returning. I just kind of want to get the point across as to how these query params actually work. So there we go. Hello world, John. So this bit here is my query parameter. If I go ahead and call this without, let's go ahead and do it like this here. We get this sort of detail type missing query name here. Because I've not made this optional, I've put it into my function header here. Python's not going to be happy, or FastAPI is going to kick off, and we actually get a 422 unprocessable entity. This basically means it's almost like calling a function and you've not passed in an explicit required argument. Basically the same thing. This endpoint was expecting to have name as a query parameter, of course, because I'm using it down here, and I've gone ahead and made this request like this without passing it in. Whereas if I do pass it in, the world is happy and everyone's good to go. You can do two, or more actually, not just two. Let's do city and say you, sir, are going to be a string. And then let's go ahead and do city like this. Open up some parentheses, and let's do city.title here. And let's go ahead and do perhaps another one of these. Take city.title again and do it down here like this. Okay, I think that's good. Now let's come back and do the same thing. So if I just go ahead and do this now with John, same as before, so see it's now saying query city, that's because I've not provided that second query parameter. So if I clear the screen, let's go back to our request, let's separate this with an ampersand and say John, London, let's try London. And there we go, hello world, John, London. So that's an example of how you do it, passing in more than one query parameter. So pretty cool. It's pretty straightforward to set up. And I think one of the good things about FastAPI is that, you just have to say whenever you define your endpoint, whatever you pass in here, those are going to be query params, unless you've gone ahead and done something here as your path parameter, which we'll come to at the end. But if you just need a simple endpoint, with some simple query parameters, that's all you really need to do. Just make sure you define them up here. Make sure you put in some type hints, keep it nice and consistent. And then whenever you do your actual call itself, make sure you do at the end of your endpoint a little question mark, and then kind of do them as like, keyword arguments, like this query parameter. So I've got name and city equals, and then, just pass them in like this. Make sure they're nice and neat and straightforward. So that's how you declare a query parameter. Now we can do optionals. Now these are pretty straightforward. Let's do name str equals, and to be honest, if you know how to do this for a function, you already know how to do it for FastAPI. So let's say John is hard-coded here, and let's say, I'm going to change a hard, let's say Hull, like this. Okay, that'll reload by itself. Now let's remove these and do it like this. There we go. Hello world, John Hull. So just like a normal function, you can have default arguments or default parameters, whatever. Yeah, same is true for FastAPI. You can pass them in if you want. So let's take away John and add Sarah. There we go. Hello world, Sarah, London. So because I've passed in Sarah and London, it's overwritten John with Sarah, overwritten Hull with London. So therefore, name and city are Sarah and London, respectively. There you go. You can see it all happy here as well. So that's how you can also add in your optional parameters. It doesn't have to be both. You can do it so it's just one. So maybe, I don't know, maybe name is required, but city is not. So we could go back to this guy here, and let's go ahead and take city out the equation. So we can do it like this. There we go. Hello world, Sarah, Hull. Or we could say Sarah and London. And there we go. That's how we can override it just like a regular kind of function argument, so to speak. Okay, now one thing that's interesting is the type conversion that FastAPI can do. So to show you what I mean, let's try and do another parameter. And let's say employed, you Sarah are going to be a Boolean, and you're defaulting to false here. And I suppose just for ease of reading, we'll take this guy and we'll put this here. And we will do employed in here, just so we can sort of see it all on the one screen. Okay, so if I run this as earlier, there we go. So we can see this false here. This kind of pertains to this that's passed in. Obviously, I'm not passing in anything on top of this, so it's going to use the default employed value as false. Now, FastAPI basically has a few things it will try and convert. So if I did ampersand employed equals 1, yeah, it will interpret the 1 as being like a Boolean switch. It will also do, let's see, if I do true lowercase, yeah, I'll take that as true as well. Let's try one more. Actually, we'll do two more. If you do the uppercase true, it's happy with that. It's also happy if you do the word on as well. So if I do on here, it's like a switch. So if you need that ability in your API to have some kind of switch, you can put this in here, and then you could quite easily pass in something like on, true, one. I think you can even pass yes as well, if you want to be that explicit. Yeah, you can. Look at that. So you can pass in a range of different things, and FastAPI is more than happy, providing you pass in something appropriate, it's more than happy to convert whatever you pass in here to true, or if not, you can leave it out altogether. Let's remove this. It'll just stick to the default parameter as false here, as I passed in. You can set it to true as well, of course, and then, if you pass in something like false or no, it will then go ahead and do the opposite and convert it back to false. Now, finally, I want to look at how to mix your path parameters with your query parameters. So if I just go ahead and do that same call again, there we go. So that's just my normal return, and yeah, everything's absolutely fine. But quite often in a FastAPI, you want to do something like hello world, maybe endpoint / some value, and that value from here is then passed into the endpoint, and then stuff happens. So let's suppose I did value in here, and then did value in here. Now let's go ahead and try this, and we get, not found. Obviously, it's going to need something after hello world, so let's do hello world / test. Actually, let's try that again here, so it's a bit nicer. Hello world / test, and there we go. So if I go to the app for a second, we can see it's done hello world / test here. Now all that's really done is it's passed this first to here. So if I print off here, test, let's do value. Sorry, a bit of a crude way of doing it, I know. But let's try that again. We'll clear the screen, hit run, come back to this. And there we go. So when I did, let's see, a hello world / test, this is basically passed first into here. So whatever's done in the path parameters, these guys are taken first and passed in. So in this case, value was given the value of test. That's why we see in the print, there we are, test, test. And then the rest of them, so the query parameters, so name is Sarah, city is London, those two are given in here, and then of course employed, that's our default one here. So it's pretty straightforward to do it. I mean, you could do another one if you wanted to. Let's go ahead and do more. So let's do more down here. This means we've got to do hello world /test /abc. Yeah, it's pretty fine with that. Let's go ahead and even add that in here. So we'll do more in there. Let the app reload. Make the same call. And there we go, test ABC. So the path parameters, these are the ones that are always taken in first. So make sure that whatever's in here is in here first. Then you do your query parameters up next. And then you can use them however you need to inside the rest of your endpoint, and then you're good to go. So just quickly recap what we've done. We've seen that a query parameter is basically this kind of keyword argument kind of string passed in at the end of your endpoint. You have to do a little question mark and separate these guys off with your ampersands here. So in this case, this is skip equals 0, limit equals 10. That means that these two are passed. Basically, it's kind of like key value pairs to your endpoint. We've seen how to declare them. You do that simply in here. There you go. We can see that optional ones work as well. For example, we did there we are, city and employed. These are optional because we've given them a default value in our function header. We've looked at how to do some type conversion. So that was with this guy. So anything where you have a bool, you can pass in a switch like on, off, 1, 0, true, false. And then finally, we can combine path and query parameters by doing this and then doing this, as long as you put your path parameters first and then put your query parameters next. But anyway, guys, that wraps up that video. If you want to see something specific with FastAPI, feel free to drop us a message or leave a comment. I'm hoping to make this quite a long series and show you all that I possibly can about FastAPI. Cheers for watching, guys, and see you all in the next video, and have a great week.